I'll just start with introducing myself. My name is Tim Schobel. I have a couple years of ERP experience, first starting at Oracle and then with NetSuite, and now I'm with BSP. So I worked on this presentation together with my colleague Shasta Haig. This is going to be focusing on that Bank Feeds SuiteApp that Gavin had touched on during his presentation, and some of these other banking improvements that have been made with the new release 2020.1. So I'll just start by going over the agenda for this presentation here. We'll just start with a brief introduction about the Bank Feeds SuiteApp, what it does and how it's used before getting into installing and configuring it. We'll have some slides devoted to some screenshots and a walkthrough of that process, and as well as the use of the SuiteApp, how it works in practice, before concluding with a summary or recap of what we discussed. Okay, so we'll start with that introduction. So this is a tool that is meant to automate the transfer of bank data into NetSuite through a direct connection with your bank. So basically, it retrieves daily bank and credit card information from your financial institutions by linking your accounts in NetSuite. So this can be used to facilitate bank reconciliation. Again, Gavin had mentioned the redesigned match bank data screen and how that has changed with 2020.1. I'll focus today a little bit on how that works in partnership with the Bank Feeds SuiteApp. So no more need to manually import your bank statements once a month, although you do still have that option with the 2020.1 release. You have both the automatic and the manual import of your bank statements as an option. The automatic is what I'm going to focus on today. That automatic or direct connection with your bank accounts can work with checking, savings, or credit card accounts. Also, part of the process for connecting to your financial institution requires your actual credentials for your financial institution. So you get that bank level security with this. Also, there are some there's encryptions and your bank statements are not actually kept in NetSuite once they're processed for compliance purposes. So there's a lot of added security there. You have the ability to link multiple financial institutions and accounts. With 2020.1, there are about 8,000 financial institutions supported for the United States and Canada. And I'm sure you'll be glad to know that this doesn't require any additional licensing costs from NetSuite. You should be able to just search for this through that SuiteApp marketplace and install the app. Also, just want to address that point that Gavin made. This will be available. I did not know that in 2020.2, so internationally that is. So good to know. So this is just a slide devoted to some of the prerequisites for installing and configuring that SuiteApp. So certain features need to be enabled in advance. These include custom records, client suite script, and server suite script. For most users of NetSuite, these are already enabled. But if not, and you intend on using the SuiteApp, you're going to want to go ahead and enable these. There are also certain role permissions that need to be added. So if you're a user other than an administrator who's interacting with this feature and the financial institution records, you're going to need to have that permission added. So for example, if you're like a controller, you're going to need to, the administrator will have to edit the controller's role and add the permissions for the financial institution records. And more on that in a minute. So then you'll just have to install the Bank Feeds SuiteApp by following this navigation shown here. It's under Customization, Suite Cloud Development, SuiteApp Marketplace. It is managed, the SuiteApp, so it will automatically be updating with any new features or enhancements. So that allows us to get into the actual installation and configuration surrounding using the Bank Feeds SuiteApp. Gavin touched on this also during his presentation, but this is the navigation here to get to the SuiteApps Marketplace. Again, Customization, Suite Cloud Development, and SuiteApp Marketplace. And here, look for that icon shown here on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll click into that, and this is the Bank Feeds SuiteApp. You just have to click Install up there and on the right-hand side, and you can go ahead and proceed with installing the SuiteApp. So a few notes about what happens after this is installed. You're going to have a financial institution record and a format profile record automatically provisioned to your NetSuite account. So these are going to be the Bank Feeds financial institution record and the link bank accounts profile record associated with that financial institution. You're going to be able to access these records from the drop-down list under the Setup tab in your NetSuite account. This is going to be a newly created list, so these financial institutions did not previously exist prior to the installation of the app. The format profile is going to be populated with content that can't be changed. This would include the plugin, like the Bank Feeds connectivity plugin, and the transaction parser, which is the Bank Feeds parser. So those components enable NetSuite to connect directly to your financial institutions to retrieve your banking data. And once that's successfully installed, the Bank Feeds SuiteApp, you're going to wait about 15 to 30 minutes for that setup to complete in your account. For example, installing the certificates that allows it to communicate securely with your third-party financial institutions and to access your data. So this is where you'll go once that process is complete. After that time has passed, and it's only a few minutes, you're going to go to Setup, Accounting, Financial Institutions, and List. And then from there, you'll see this Bank Feeds financial institution that's automatically provisioned to your account. So to set this up, you're going to want to click this financial institution. And once it's there, once viewing it, you'll see that format profile that I mentioned earlier, the link bank accounts format profile. So you're going to want to click link bank accounts here to actually move forward with linking and connecting to your bank. Over here, you're going to get this format profile here. This is for the link bank accounts. This is the page from which you proceed here with accepting terms and conditions for using the Bank Feeds SuiteApp and going on to connect to your financial institutions and link your bank accounts. This message up here at the top, no subsidiary restrictions. This is just a message notifying you that you need to map any linked bank accounts associated with this format profile, regardless of subsidiary. So there's more information on that as well. So on the connectivity configuration subtab that was shown on that previous slide, you have the ability there to accept the terms and conditions. This is a screenshot of that terms and conditions message. So these 3 steps that are pointed out here really describe the rest of the process. You just need to search for your financial institution, enter the site credentials for logging in. So for example, your Bank of America user ID and password, and then you'll just view your account details and confirm which accounts you want to actually link to the format profile. Okay. So here's the next steps there. Once you've accepted the terms and conditions, you can search for your financial institution here. If you don't see it in one of the options initially available, you can just search for it. As I mentioned earlier, roughly 8,000 are currently supported by the SuiteApp. So if you're not seeing it in some of these initial choices displayed, you will very likely find it. So from there, you'll just authenticate, entering your bank login credentials, your username and password before clicking submit. And then you'll review your linked accounts. So by default, upon connecting to your financial institution, all of the accounts associated with your bank account are going to be displayed here. So this, assuming a user has a Bank of America account, for example, and they have a savings, checking, and credit card accounts linked to that, they're all going to automatically be linked unless you want to unlink and remove it from the list by clicking this trash icon shown here. I don't know if all of you can see my cursor, but it's visible right there under the name of the account. You'll see all your balances getting loaded in, and this is just going to display the names of your accounts as they appear in your financial institution website. So go through and make sure to unlink any accounts that you don't want to actually link to an existing GL account in NetSuite by clicking that trash icon. This will just prompt a message. Are you sure you want to unlink the account? Confirm that and click unlink. before proceeding with linking additional financial institutions or completing that process. So just a quick recap of the steps there. After installing the SuiteApp, you're going to find that in Bank Feeds Financial Institution and accept the terms and conditions on the format profile, link bank accounts. Then you're going to search and select your financial institution, connect to it by entering your online bank credentials, and review and remove any linked accounts. So once you've completed that, you're going to map each linked account to a GL account. So before we had been on the connectivity configuration subtab of the format profile. Now we're on the account mapping subtab. This is where you take those linked accounts and match them to a corresponding bank account in NetSuite. So once this is, upon saving though, this is going to import the past 60 days of bank data, and it will auto-match any applicable transactions upon save. Now, a couple notes on this. So there's intelligent transaction matching in play here. I can run matching rules against newly imported transactions. It does not run matching rules against account transactions. So any account transactions that are currently matched cannot be matched again, regardless of the reconciliation state. Also, these rules can be set up under I believe it's transactions, bank, and matching rules. And these can be set up to match on transaction number and amount, or on amount and transaction number without prefixes and leading zeros, or to match on amount when a date is within 90 previous days. So you can configure those matching rules to help further automate this process. So upon save, you'll see this message here about bank data is importing. This can take anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, depending on the volume of transactions that are in the past 60 days of account activity associated with those accounts. To track the status, you can click this highlighted link here to track the status of the import. That'll take you out here to this page. This is the imported statement list. Here you can see that there's been a completed import. You can keep clicking this refresh button until it's completed. Once completed, the status will change to completed, and you'll see a certain number of transactions imported associated with these NetSuite accounts. Okay. And it should be noted here that imported bank data must be matched to existing transactions in NetSuite. So importing this bank data does not automatically create any transactions in NetSuite, just so you know. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual use of the SuiteApp. So the connection to your bank prompts, at least regarding the automated import, is relying on a daily refresh that occurs sometime around the hours of between 5 and 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every day, the connection with your bank is refreshed and the data is aggregated and communicated with NetSuite. Couple points about once you've linked those GL accounts, you're going to want to make sure that you enable this option on the GL accounts that you're linking for the reconciliation process. I'll show this on a subsequent slide, but there's this use match bank data and reconcile account statement pages option on the GL account itself. So here's a screenshot of that. This is an example of a bank account that you're going to be linking with that Bank Feeds SuiteApp. So you'll see here, this option upon the installation of the app suddenly becomes available on the GL account. This is found by going into the chart of accounts, finding the account and clicking edit. I'll take you to this page, and then suddenly you'll see this option here. Make sure that you enable this and save to make sure that the account is set up for the bank feeds. So now I also want to talk a little bit about the account reconciliation summary portlet. I believe this has also been touched upon slightly, but this portlet is now going to include the bank statement balance, the bank statement date, and the number of transactions to be matched. So you can click on these hyperlinks here to, for the number of transactions to be matched to bring you directly to the account matching page. Alternatively, I believe it's under transactions, bank, and the navigation can be found from there. I believe it's match bank data, transactions bank, match bank data. So that'll take you to this page here, and this is very helpful. Layouts give you a lot of visibility here. The updated bank balances and imported bank data will appear here. This was previously called the Confirm Transaction Matches page. Now it's called the Match Bank Data page. In addition to the daily updates, there's also a manual update option here, this Update Imported Bank Data. It should be noted that this button here is not a live connection to the bank, rather to the aggregated data provider, so there may be some lag time. For example, if you just had a credit card transaction and you're not seeing it on the same day, it's because you probably won't see it until the following day due to that lag time. But clicking this button initiates a request to NetSuite to retrieve the latest data from your financial institution account. If the request is accepted, NetSuite will display a message saying that an import is in process, and you can track the status of that import and so on. So I'll take you back to that previous page that I showed earlier. But here you'll see all the transactions that are to be matched on the left. This is the imported bank data, so the past 60 days of activity associated with this particular account shown up here. You'll see all those transactions here on this page to be matched, and on the right-hand side you'll see the actual account transactions in NetSuite. So you have this option here to check the left and the right side and click match. The minute you check both sides of this, or if you check, as soon as you check the right-hand side, in addition to the left-hand side, and you're actually trying to perform a match here, this exclude button will gray out. So just want to mention that because we're going to come back to that exclusion option in a moment. But that's the way to actually submit the match. Once you keep clicking match here, once you have the selection here, you'll see it down here in this blue box at the bottom. This is the lines you're matching together, and you can submit that match by clicking match here. That'll eliminate it from this page and move it over to this sub-tab, the matches to submit sub-tab. Also, there are these new buttons here. If you're not seeing a particular, if you're seeing an imported transaction on the left that you're not seeing on the right, as in one that's already existing, one that is not existing in NetSuite, you can create a new journal entry or a new charge or a new deposit to reflect that. These will open pop-up windows that allow you to generate that transaction on the fly. Also, you can use those matching rules that I mentioned earlier to further automate this process. You'll just have to validate those matches on the matches to submit page. So here's an example of clicking an imported line on the left-hand side of that screen. You'll see the exclude option is available. So basically, with the 2020.1, you now have the option to review and even exclude imported bank data from the matching process. So you may want to exclude a transaction, in this example, if it's like old or if it's a duplicate. Excluding it will remove it from your bank data grid, and it can help eliminate clutter. Once you submit exclude on a particular line that's been imported from your bank, that'll remove it from the grid and push it over to this excluded sub-tab here. On that excluded sub-tab, you do have the option to restore a particular line if back to the to be matched sub-tab as needed. So the final step on here is just to review those matches to submit. Once you've validated this information here, you can just click submit at the top of the screen. And that'll take you to the Reconcile account statement page. Those matched transactions will appear here. You can also reconcile them under this sub-tab and just validate all this information to reduce the difference to 0 and click Reconcile to perform your reconciliation. So a little recap of that. So you can view your bank and NetSuite transactions side by side now. You can even exclude any duplicated or old transactions from the list. You can refresh to update your imported data, and you can reconcile to 0 for transactions that match up on both sides of those imported from your bank and those existing in NetSuite. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit just to recap. So previously, so some benefits about the Bank Feeds SuiteApp. It's helpful for eliminating that manual import of banking data through the automated connection, direct connection with your financial institutions. In the past, users had to, were allowed to import their bank statements, various file formats. They had to fetch them from a remote location. Now this is further expedited by having that direct connection with your bank. Also, your bank balances can be updated daily to be more helpful in informing your decisions based on your current cash position. So for planning and forecasting for the future, this can be helpful. Also, the improved match bank data functionality has streamlined the process and helped to reduce clutter. So that's been simplified and redesigned to further expedite this process. I also have a couple notes. So regarding the differences between 2020.1 and 2019, there previously financial institution account data on the confirmed transaction matches page was static, and you had to manually import that new data. But now, if the administrator configures a format profile for direct connectivity to a financial institution, NetSuite can automatically update that data every day. So that's kind of one of the key differences there, kind of more fleshed out. And that's the conclusion of my presentation.